This episode of Ticket Volume is brought to you by us, Invigate. Get service operations under control in no time. Get 1 free month of our software solution by going to try.invigate.com. Ticket Volume is delighted to bring you an ITIL author who has worked for some of the most well-known brands in IT service management, notably Honeywell, the Department of Veteran Affairs, Axelos, Exxon, BMC, Cherwell, and SAP, to name a few. He's been serving HDI for over 6 years and is currently a solution director for SDI Presence, a managed service consulting firm. Welcome to Ticket Volume, news and information for improving IT experiences. I'm your host, Matt Barron, and I chat with different leaders to share insights on service management, technology, and geek out about business. This episode is going to be more of the same. I hope you're having a great day, and I also hope that you leave a comment or connect with us or share our podcast with someone. Get involved and get us improving. Now, let's begin. Welcome to Ticket Volume, Anthony Orr.
Thank you. So glad to be here, my friend, who I've known for so many years, and we just can talk about service management and ITSM topics forever. So
We
I'm
can't
looking
help
forward
it.
to this.
Yeah, exactly. We
Yeah,
can't help it. We want to do this.
it's a part of who we are. That's
Yes.
the great part. That even in this session, and when we talked before, it's always just speaking from the heart and saying what's on your mind and getting those messages across to people and everything else. Just like at the recent HDI show, when I was talking to people, they'll tell me, they said, "Wow, you're so passionate about this." I said, "Well, I'm just telling you what I think and what I feel and everything else related to this area that we're in, that is so important really at the end of the day." So.
Bingo. Yes. Hopefully, we can change some people's lives, change their hearts and minds. We've been working on it for a long time. So, you and I have seen the success. It's just a matter of people believing it and then taking those baby steps towards something bigger, right?
Yep, and every now and then I tell that story about the value of what we do. And sometimes, I think I've shared the story with you before. I used to ask, technical people, because I used to be technical, the Oracle DBA, and I'm still sort of technical at the end of the day. And so if I say, "So what value do you bring to the organization?" So Oracle DBA, they say, "Well, I make sure the database is up, I reorganize tables." I say, "No, but to the organization, to the business, to its customers." They go, "Huh, what do you mean?" I said, "Okay, just think about it." I said, "For example, if you work for a bank, no. What would you say how you help that bank? Well, what does the bank do for society? Because remember, I say this sometimes too. Peter Drucker used to always say, no organization should exist unless it gives value to society. That may not be the exact quote, but that's the sense of it. So if you're a bank, you think about what a bank does. They process loans. For example, they give loans to individuals, to small businesses, and everything else. And if they can't do that well, how do they impact those people's lives and the other people's lives that depend on those services for those different businesses? That's what you're doing at the end of the day. So we want IT to support the business, become higher performing, so we can do more for society to support our livelihoods and the lives of people around us at the end of the day.
Yes, exactly. Don't forget that's, ITIL 4, the service value chain. At the end of the value chain, someone's life has changed, most likely.
That's right. That's right, for sure.
So you heard in the intro, Anthony's got a long history in this industry. You've been an Axelos examiner, worked for Exxon, which I know is a training and certification company, and tons of other experience, especially in your consulting gigs. How do you, like, as someone who's seen it all and done a lot, how do you stay relevant? How do you stay on top of your game?
Well, the first thing I do, I like listening to people. 'Cause one of the things I really believe in is, to get to best practices, it takes diversity of thought and experiences and everything else. So as I'm doing consulting and talking to people at trade shows and stuff like that, I'm always listening, trying to understand their value drivers and what they're trying to do, the way they think about things and everything else, so I can apply my knowledge to that and come up with better solutions and continue to grow. Other things I do, I'm always reading. I read so much stuff, and listen to YouTube videos and podcasts from other people and everything else. I'm always soaking in information and seeing what the latest trends are, listening to Gartner, Forrester, and things like that, so I can, make the best of all that knowledge to, again, support my customers, that support their customers, and everything else. So that I'm always on top of things as it relates to, just providing the best service I can and then contributing to society again.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I love that diversity of thought. I know I didn't prompt you this, but I'll put you on the spot. What's something you've read recently, or what are you reading right now?
uh, yeah, you are putting me on the spot on that. What am I reading right now? Well, uh, probably, as I told you, one of the other things I do, I'm a hypnotherapist and stuff. So one of probably the books that I'm reading right now is related to hypnotherapy and helping people at the end of the day with different challenges. So that's probably where I'm at right now with the reading. Some of the latest stuff related to ITSM, I've been looking at content that people have been writing about user experience, experience
Mm,
management and stuff like that, because that's emerging in the industry and so forth, and it's very, very interesting. It's different than service level management. People need to understand this, but connecting the pieces together, very important. One of the things I was used to talk about at trade shows, and this was a number of years ago before experience management even came up. I said there's two missing ITIL practices. I say practice instead of process. That's experience and engagement management. They said, what do you mean? I said, well, we have to understand the experience from the users, employees, and everything else. And you see vendors talking about this now too, but not just the experience, but the engagement for those experiences. Is this by the phone? This is in person and everything else. So what do you expect? And if you really pay attention to that from a personal perspective, like when you have an engagement, like at the airport with a agent versus doing something on the phone, what experience do you expect? So we have to do those things better as relates to how IT performs in the background to support those things. So I've been reading stuff around that and everything else.
you've nailed it, dude. Yeah, ITIL, it's not gonna nail everything. That's why that
Hmm.
diversity of thought is so important. You need to explore, always be learning, like explore beyond what your specific domain is. If you're
Hmm.
focused on incident management, don't forget to look at request management. And if you're an ITIL fan, don't forget to look at some of the other frameworks and methodologies because
Hmm.
there's a lot out there to learn.
Yeah, and another point is, as you sort of bring up, when you start thinking about your ITSM tool that you're using today, as I've been talking with a lot of people and potential clients and stuff like that, I find out they're still looking at the ITSM tool as a ticketing system. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really way more than that. As we've been talking about experience and so forth, it's more than a ticketing system. When I hear the word ticketing system, I say, well, they're just looking at the ITSM system as an operational tool. But we want to bring value to the business. So they have to go on this journey or this maturity to take that tool to be a little bit more tactical, maybe align their projects and stuff with the things that they're doing so they make sure they're doing the right things with the ITSM tool. They make it more strategic at the end of the day so they give that business value to those customers and to the business and itself. And that's what it can do. When it becomes more strategic, it just becomes just a great tool, but not just a tool, but it connects the people together, as we talk about in ITIL and ITSM, connects the processes together. It helps with governance. It helps with communication planning. It helps create that teaming, across the organization versus it just being stuck in operations just as a ticketing tool. And it's way more than that. And a lot of organizations need to elevate, that perspective. That's why one of the things that I help organizations with is advisory. Said,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is how you can do this. Let's do an advisory workshop and let's get you to that point that you have a roadmap and understand those challenges and really connect the pieces together, not for one functional unit, but for the organization as a whole, so you can do the right things with ITSM. Remember what ITSM is. There's service management, which every organization does. They deliver service or product, right?
Mm-hmm.
Underneath that is the IT stuff that we're never going to get rid of. So IT supports what the business does. And why not make it a strategic part of what you're doing at the end of the day?
Yeah, that's such an important topic, actually. We say service management, and so many people think, especially in our industry, they think, oh, that's incident management, that's event management, that's how the processes all work. It's actually one step above that, kind of, where it's like
Hmm.
service management, product management. It's kind of below governance. And that really is meant to be not only how IT operates, but how the whole business operates together to deliver those services and deliver those
Hmm.
products.
Yep, that's why ITIL 4 brought forward the concept of value chain and value
Exactly.
systems. It was already, even back in ITIL version 2, those concepts were there, but they didn't come out in people's faces much. because there were different focuses. Been version 2 and version 3, then version 4 says, hey, because even back in the version 3 days, early when version 3 came out, I would talk to customers and clients and people. They said, oh, that's too many processes. I said, you don't have to do all that. I said, you do what matters, which is the concept of a value chain. Create the value between the practice areas for the things that you need to do, the constraints you have, and the things and the objectives that you're trying to accomplish. Or as we say in ITIL version of 4 terms, what's the problem, what's the objectives, what's the goals, and stuff like that, so that you can really do the right things.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're doing the processes, whether you're mature in them and like think
Hmm.
about yourself doing the process, you can't avoid it. You can't avoid when you send out a service or send out a product, there's gonna be incidents, and you can, manage it because someone's just raising their hand complaining about it, or you can manage it at a very mature scale. It's up to you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
That's right.
speaking about that, then where do you think that we can improve? Where do you see like the teams that they should be focusing on these days, to really improve their IT operations?
First, I think if I would think about that, think about the most valuable resource. That's what they need to improve on. What's the most valuable resource? People. Getting
Hmm.
people to work together, collaborate, educate them, and so forth. Because I've seen a lot of organizations where they don't do that, and the people go forth and just do the best job they can without the formal education, without the mentorship, even from a third party like a consultant like me. And they just say, "Oh, this is what we're going to do," and they go on this journey that's going to take so much longer, and that longer journey is going to impact the business value at the end of the day. So let's invest in our people more. Let's make sure that they can work together in a coordinated, collaborative way so that they can fulfill those needs of the business and even understand what they're really trying to accomplish. Instead of coming to work and being compliant, they become more compassionate about what they're doing. It's, oh, they told me to do this, I just do this and everything else. But if you're compassionate, you go beyond, what you need to do. You're looking for opportunities always for improvement, for automation and everything else. And you even get a better sense or feel about what your job is within the organization. So that's what I think that they should do. But as it comes to that, there's emerging technologies like AI, machine learning, and you hear about AI a lot today. Those complement what people do. AI, I
Hmm.
don't think it's going to ever replace that person because of the way we think and everything else. But just like with IT itself, it removes some of the manual things that we do. So it's getting more mature for removing manual things that we do. So now I can enhance that person a little bit more and really have them add value to the business.
I really
And
like that you
our
said
customers.
I really like that you said compassionate versus compliant. I see when I see you at events, that's how I would describe you. You're always listening. It's not like you get excited, but you take the time to listen and observe and really like absorb what people are talking about, and then you can come from that place of compassion and really meet them where they are and not overburden them with a lot of
Mhm,
ideas and
mhm.
here's what you should be doing, instructions, prescriptions. You're really coming at it from a place of compassion, hearing where they're at, and then helping them move to the next step.
Yeah, and Matt, I really liked what you said about meeting them where they are, because I tell you, long time ago, I wouldn't do that. I would take them too far. It's almost like taking someone with elementary education to the
Mm.
college level. They go, huh, what are you talking about? And then you get alienated. People don't know what you're trying to do. But maybe a couple of years, they say, oh, I remember what Anthony said. That we probably should have did that. But you take them on the journey, so that you're hand in hand with them and not alienating the relationship, but you're building relationships so that they grow based on your knowledge. But at the same time, I realize you're growing based on their knowledge and the experiences and stuff that they have. And so you can even help the next person, maybe even communicate with the next person better about what they need to do on their journey. One of the things I used to tell people or students in the classroom when I used to teach it, I say, hey, everything I'm going to teach, I know already. I say, you all probably know that, but I'm gonna say it. I say, so if I say something that doesn't make sense, give me the opportunity to restate it and communicate with you differently. I said, maybe I'd use an acronym or a different word or that you're not used to. Give me the opportunity so we can create this communicative relationship so that you grow. And at the same time, I grow based on your thoughts and your knowledge that you're bringing forth within in the classroom. Same thing in real life in the business world, even though classroom is real life, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. So many times it's virtual now, so you really got to like make that
Mhm.
connection and yeah, raise people up and invite them to the conversation. It is tough to engage people virtually. I see it on Reddit all the time. People post on Reddit, I'm at a shop, I'm new to this IT shop, they're running everything in Excel. I'm going to propose that we move to Freshworks. And I constantly am responding to those people. Listen, you don't want to jump to this solution. You want to ask them how they feel about it. Is this Excel
Mhm.
spreadsheet serving us properly? Does it meet our needs? And that sort of like
Mhm.
just starting that conversation, it's org change. It's like how do you get people ready for the answer? You got
Yeah.
to get them ready, prime them for it.
Yep, and like I say, you can't take them too far, otherwise you get what we call diminishing returns, right? You say, oh, you need to be here, but or you talk about the law of constraints. You created a high maturity level here, but all the other ones are low, and the water's only going to go, or pass through the value chain at the lowest maturity level. At the end of the day, so you have to make sure that you balance all those things out and create the proper value chains and the proper people perspectives. And again, to go back to what we say in ITSM, the people, process, technology, the communication plans, the governance and risk profiles, and then how you get to compliance and everything else, and create communication with your projects and your roadmaps and everything else. That's another model that I really like from, I think it was in version 2. It's called Vision to Metrics model. And I use that all the time to talk about connecting the pieces together, where you go from vision to mission to goals to objectives to critical success factors to KPIs to metrics and measurements. A lot of times when we get to the objectives part, those are projects that people have, and they don't connect the projects to what's the top level, to the goals and objectives of the business. If they did that more, the projects would change. I'll give you another example of that. Service catalog. Let's talk about that particular area. I would do an assessment of a company service catalog, and I'd say, okay, I say the best way to do this is actually talk to your customers. I said, let's go talk to your customers about your service. Say, hey, customer, service number one has these 5 capabilities. Tell me about capability one. How valuable is that to you? How do you use it? Now they tell me their value stream, or how they use that. I go, oh, this is an opportunity. I can make this more productive for them by doing these things or adding this other capability and giving them a better service, so they don't have to do that much work. Great, because that's what they came to us for, because they don't want to do all that stuff. What about capability number two? Oh, I didn't even know you had capability number two. What is that? Oh, well, this is what we do. That's a problem there, because that was actually a hobby within IT. They thought they should build something, and the customer never consumed it. So now they have built all this stuff. The customer never consumed it. So now your ROI is not right. Your total cost of ownership is not right. And you're maintaining this stuff that the customer don't even know about. So service catalogs become important, related to understanding the value of the services and products and stuff that you deliver, and that becomes a foundation for the other stuff that you do within ITSM. So I stopped talking there, but go ahead, back to you.
I love
Oh,
that
I
though.
went forward. See how I
It-
went forward?
it's great that you have that perspective, because I'd never, like, I came in around ITIL V3, so to hear V2 have this valuable thing, I mean, that's huge. I talk about that constantly with people. What are the organizational goals, and then how do you align with them all the way down the stack to literally how you are working? So
Yeah.
great.
Let me tell you something else about that. I recently did a session at Service Management World, and it was on ITIL 4, 3, 2, 1, and I sort of connected all the pieces together, because I think organizations really need to do that. ITIL 4 has good stuff. ITIL 3 still has good stuff. ITIL 2 has good stuff in it. Matter of fact, when we were writing ITIL version 3, we actually went back to version 2 and pulled things forward for the 2011 release. Oh, we forgot to put this in. But there's still other stuff missing from ITIL 4 that's in the previous releases that could be a lot of value. The ITIL 4 or 3 books are that thick, lots of good stuff in there. But if you connect the pieces together, Or if you have the history that I have, and a lot of the senior ITSM consultants have, they're going to tell you stuff that you may not see in ITIL version 4. Or maybe it'll go forward to version 5. But the maturity of version 4 was important because, like I said, those concepts in 4, biochain and stuff like that, they were actually back in version 2, but we weren't talked about too much. I
Yeah.
did, consultant, because I had wanted to connect the pieces together. Version 2, I talked about it related to the life cycle. Like I just told you about the 20. Oh, you don't need to. I'll do 20 out of 26 process areas. Tell me what problem you're trying to solve. Tell me what, etc. But connecting those pieces together, I think if you really want to be an ITIL expert, even though I don't believe in the term expert, because I think we all want a continuous improvement journey for learning and things like that, or master. Uh, if you really want to connect the pieces together, you have to understand the whole, at the end of the day, or the
Yeah.
roots, and so you understand the tree and the fruit and the and everything else.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. So you brought it up. I'm going to ask you then. What do you think ITIL 5 is? Like, thinking in the future, what do you think the next evolution of service management is?
I think the next evolution is to bring more best practices together, just like they did this time with the DevOps concepts and everything else, but they even have a more of a business focus. Some of the things that we've been talking about in IT for a long time is that there's no more IT projects, there's only business projects. The
Hmm.
business and the IT have to be interwound. So how do you really do that? I think even in the next version of ITIL, there should be more practitioner type information. Here's a template. Here's how you do this. Here's how you design the process, and so forth. So a person or organization can take that and plug it in and say, look, I have a templated way of doing this, and I understand all the activities and everything else. Now let me make this best for my organization with the feedback of the people and everything else. So that's what I think the next version is really going to focus on. It's really some of the business outcomes that are really is sort of there, but it just needs to be stronger at the end of the day, because I think the industry is talking about it, and everything else even more so than they did back in the ITIL version 2 days when I talked about there's no more IT projects, it's only business projects. We still struggle with that. So that's what I think the next version to really focus on.
That's so good because people do. They just want, tell me how to do my job, make my job easier. I mean, that's really kind of like the benefit of ITIL is that. And then, like, if you see someone has taken the foundations course, they speak the language. You've got this common language that you're speaking to each other,
Hmm.
and the
Hmm.
certification structure helps that. Um, but really, to me, the huge value is being able to apply the concepts and then learn from them. I also really like the idea of just elevating your maturity, um, and having the templates, the how to do your job. I'll tell you what, I give away templates almost every time that I'm speaking, and you
Hmm.
you see almost at least 50% of people have their phones up to scan the QR code because people are looking for that stuff. How do I actually
Hmm.
design an XLA? How do I design a service
Hmm.
blueprint or journey
Hmm.
map or a process? I had someone come up at my last event and ask, where do I download the processes? I took ITIL 4 training, foundation training. I don't know where to get the processes.
Hmm.
So and what that kind of brings up is we've sort of fallen away from service management offices. It feels like that's less commonly like a topic of conversation. And I think people have kind of forgotten the value of having a bunch of process geeks owning the process and like managing it and governing it. Do you kind of see the same thing, or are you running into people that still
Yeah,
have that?
I see the same thing with the SMO, the Service Management Office, but that concept and that construct was really very important. It's more than just about process, it's about connecting what we're doing from a services perspective to what the business is doing. I would just always say, the service management work office leads the PMO. Today, the PMO is almost trying to lead the service management office. At the end of the day, then there's other entities in there that should be connected the right way and so forth. But to me, that's still important because as we started our talk, we talked about what is service management and how does IT service management support that. So that's what the organization does. So the service management office can help bring more business relevance to all those things that we're doing underneath, related to the value chains and so forth, so that the organization can function even better. It's still,
Yeah.
I think it's very important.
Yeah.
So.
Got to connect the dots. Okay, so
Mhm.
what's some advice that you would give leaders or people that want to move into IT leadership?
IT leadership, I would say educate yourself first, really understand what's going on within your organization because I see a lot of leaders. They, of course, they surround themselves with smart people, but they still need to know what these smart people are doing, from a high level or something and how to connect the pieces together. They need a sort of architectural perspective versus all the details and on the keyboard and everything else. Because I tell you this one time when I was becoming an Oracle DBA, and I was taking classes and everything else. And my boss told me, he says, Anthony, do you think I should take some of these classes? I said, I think so. I said, otherwise, I could tell you it takes as much time as I want to do stuff, and you'll have no clue about what I really do and what I need and everything else. I said, so I can snow you anytime I want.
Yeah.
And I told my boss that. He looked at me, started laughing. He says, yeah, okay, I'll take some classes. I think you just want me to go to class with you. I said, yeah, come on. But I think that's important. So that's why I would tell IT leaders that. And the second thing I would tell them, I say, you know, you're really busy running the organization. And sometimes strategy is an afterthought, but strategy needs to be a forefront. So you need to get advisory help and assessments done within your organization so you can understand constraints and where you can go and the possibilities by using experts like myself, or to help you on that
Mhm.
journey versus thinking you can do it alone. Because in other roles that I've had, I've seen that happen. I'm like, oh, gee, I tell organizations, I say, this is what you should go to the whiteboard. This is what you should be doing. Well, nobody told us that. I'm like, well, your consultant, did you do an advisory session? Did you have an assessment done? Did you do this? Nope, we just started doing stuff. We just started doing incident problem change, and we had to do it by this date. So here's the run the business mentality. Let's just keep the lights on. Let's get this done by this date, but they create technical debt and they don't do a real good service to the organization without having a good strategy up front about where they're going to go within the next year, 2 years, or whatever. So I would tell all leaders you need that. There's so many ways to do that and things available to really give you those insights. One of the things I really like is simulations
Mm.
because the military use simulations all the time before they get in the jets and everything else. Now, let's simulate what's going to happen. Oh, wow, look how bad our communication is. Look how bad the process is. Do we have these real issues? Yes, we do. Let's fix them so we can be more efficient, higher performing, and everything else. And remember, the goal of that executive is to really, I will always tell them two things: make sure you're doing the right thing for the business, and make sure you're doing the right thing for your people.
Mm.
So,
I love it. Dude, Anthony, knowledge bombs, dude. I love it. Okay, so where can people connect with you and learn more?
of course, the most common place is LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Ask me any questions that you want, or contact me at SDI Presence, and you can do that through LinkedIn too, or email me at aorr@sdipresence.com, and I'll gladly answer you or tell you about some of our other offerings and how we can help you be successful and what you're trying to do and everything else. And at the company I work for, we have a lot of great experts in ServiceNow and other disciplines. If you go to our website, you'll see we're just not ITSM, but really at the end of the day, we are ITSM because we do a lot and everything relative to helping organizations with all different type of challenges that they have. And the great thing about that is that we can bring together multiple expertise so you get the best of connecting things across your organization. And that's what we do at the end
Yeah.
of the day. We'll work together collaboratively. If you have a network issue, facilities issues, or database issues, or cloud, or cyber, and stuff like that. And that's another note for you too. One of the things I do within cyber and cloud, I use ITSM as a
Mm.
foundation. And I created frameworks around that. When people see it, they go, oh, wow, I'm connecting the pieces. And that's what you do with those best practices. Just like maybe the next version of ITIL 4, you have more best practices intertwined within ITIL 4. So you just see a seamless relationship between those practices and what we should be doing as an
I
organization.
love it. Such good stuff, Anthony. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being on Ticket Volume, dude.
You're welcome. Glad to come back again and talk about other stuff anytime. Just let me know,
I love it.
and I'm here.
And to our audience, thank you for listening. Did you know that you can join us for a live recording too? Register today at ticketvolume.com and click on register. Thank you for listening. You can change and improve this podcast by DMing me or leaving a comment. And speaking of Ticket Volume, did you know that this podcast is brought to you by Invigate, a fit-for-purpose service desk solution with integrated asset management designed to let you focus on supporting your organization without arduous implementations. In fact, IT teams from Toyota, NASA, and McDonald's use Invigate to manage requests, automate workflows, and centralize inventory data so that they can focus on delivering better service, because good service is good business.